We all have our origin story, the tale of how we became the people we were always destined to become, the feeling of when fate comes calling, and music that would change our lives forever. This is the story of how I became an Oasis fan. Alright, picture it. It's fall 1995, I'm 12 years old and in 7th grade. Every day, my mom would drive me to and from school, and on each drive, we would listen to the radio, to a popular station in Toronto, down the road from my city of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. It was The Mix 99.9. I loved music and listening to the radio when I was a kid, and always had my ear out for the next new song that I would become obsessed with. And then one day, like a shock of the lightning, I heard it, a little song called Wonderwall. The track finished and the radio DJ said the song was by an English rock band named Oasis, a band that I had never heard of. At the time, my favorite bands were the Beatles, Aerosmith, and Hootie and the Blowfish. Yes, Hootie and the Blowfish. This is 1995 we're talking about. Cut me some slack, and I still had much to learn during my time as a young music fan. But this band was different. They jumped out of the speakers, the incredible singing, that hypnotic acoustic guitar pattern, and the gorgeous melody. I was instantly hooked and looked forward to hearing Wonderwall on the radio every time that we got in the car. And you have to remember, this was the pre-internet age. I didn't have any Oasis albums on CD yet. I didn't have the internet at home. So hearing the song on the radio or seeing the video on Much Music was how I got my Oasis fix. And as the calendar turned to 1996, another Oasis classic hit the radio that would change my life forever, a song called Champagne Supernova. To say this song blew my 12-year-old mind is an understatement. It was a musical awakening. The song was no less than absolutely perfect and cemented my love of Oasis from only hearing 2 songs on the radio. I sang Champagne Supernova anywhere and everywhere. At school, at my desk, at home, even in the shower. The song got in my head like nothing had before. And it was not long after, on a trip to Toronto with my family, that I went to the local Tower Records, pulled out a crisp $20 Canadian bill, and bought What's the Story Morning Glory on CD. And this is the exact copy of Morning Glory that I picked up on that fateful day in 1996. I still have it. It's been played to death, but it's still a treasured part of my Oasis collection. When I brought the album home, I put it in my CD player and I pored over the liner notes, reading about the band members, Liam, Noel, Bonehead, Gwigsy, and Alan. These were the dudes that were changing my life. Morning Glory became a permanent fixture in my CD player. I listened to Morning Glory every single day, going beyond just the singles that I heard on the radio and discovering the album tracks and expanding my love of everything Oasis. But that wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning of my Oasis journey. On a random night, watching Much Music at home, I saw the video for Supersonic, the very first Oasis single, but a song that I'd never heard yet. Similar to Wonderwall and Champagne Supernova, Supersonic floored me. I was a little too young when it came out in 1994, but just 2 years later, I was primed now. This was another special song by a very special band. And upon visiting HMV at my local mall, I was faced with a very tough decision. In my hands, I held 2 CDs. One, the Oasis debut album Definitely Maybe, and in the other, the Refreshments album Fizzy Fuzzy Big and Buzzy. I was a fan of their 1996 radio hit, Banditos. But in my heart, in my very soul, I knew which CD was my destiny. I knew which band would be the better investment of the little money I had as a tween, and I wisely chose Definitely Maybe, handed over my cash, and continued down the Oasis rabbit hole. I did eventually grab that Refreshments CD many years later, but obviously the Refreshments didn't quite have the same impact on me that Oasis did. With Morning Glory and Definitely Maybe in my CD player constantly and my love of Oasis solidified, the hype and anticipation I felt for the third Oasis album, Be Here Now, is indescribable. I don't think I've ever been as excited for anything else in my entire life. When the first single from Be Here Now, Do You Know What I Mean, dropped in July of 1997, it completely blew my mind. I would wake up every day and listen to the song like I was singing a mantra. When the Be Here Now album finally dropped at the start of my high school years, it became my anthem and the soundtrack to my life. I wore my Oasis badge proudly, and everybody knew me as one of their biggest fans. I was way too young to buy my own Oasis tickets when they toured Canada during the first 3 records, and no one was buying tickets for me, so the first time I saw Oasis live was in April of 2000 in Toronto at the Maple Leaf Gardens on the Standing on the Shoulder Giants tour. The show was an absolute revelation, and to see the band in the flesh was an incredible experience. The biggest impact Oasis had on me, though, is igniting my love of music and inspiring me to be a musician myself. I picked up the guitar when I was 15 years old, inspired by Noel Gallagher as a guitar player and a songwriter, and the very first song I learned on guitar was none other than Live Forever.
Lately, did you ever feel the pain in the morning rain? Soaks you to the bone.
Since then, I've written hundreds of my own songs, played hundreds of my own gigs, recorded albums, and toured the world, all because of my love for Oasis. And my Oasis obsession has only grown over the years, collecting all their albums and singles, seeing them live, following Noel and Liam during their solo careers. It's all been an amazing musical experience following the greatest band of all time. I love a lot of music and a lot of bands, but if there's one band that has changed my life and made my life for the better, it has undoubtedly been Oasis. And that is the story of how I became an Oasis fan. Hop in the comments below. Let me know, how did you become an Oasis fan? Let's share our memories in the comments.